She never understood why the silence felt like home. Welcome to Psyche Havoc, a sanctuary for the truths that whisper in the dark, for the fractures we pretend aren't there. If you're ready to look into the abyss, and more importantly, if you dare to see what looks back, then consider this your invitation into the chaos. Subscribe and let the unraveling begin. But be warned, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. Tonight, we venture into the most treacherous labyrinth of all, the one built not of stone, but of yearning. And at its center lies a single, corrosive question: why does a soul become a willing prisoner to its own annihilation? Consider a woman. Not a name, not a face. An echo. She exists in a city of glass and steel, her life a curated performance of competence. Her apartment is clean, her career is a steady ascent, her friendships are a network of light and laughter. Yet, there is a chamber within her, a vault she never visits, that recognizes only one key: neglect. It begins not with a shout, but with a withdrawal. A man enters her orbit. He is not cruel, not overtly. He is absent. His attention is a currency he spends sparingly, a flicker of light in a vast, indifferent sky. His texts are brief, delayed by hours, sometimes days. His presence is a ghost in her life, a scent left on a pillow, a half-empty glass on the counter. He is a silhouette, and she, the painter, frantically filling in the colors, the substance, the soul. She is the architect of his meaning. And in that frantic act of creation, she is lost. He gives her nothing to hold on to, and so she clings to the nothing. His silence becomes a canvas for her deepest insecurities to paint their masterpiece. Was it something she said? Something she did? Is she not enough? The questions are hooks, set deep. Every delayed reply is a fresh tug, a confirmation of her own unworthiness. The pain is not a side effect, it is the point. It is a familiar, ancient ache. It feels like truth. This is the first secret, the foundational crack in the psyche. The addiction is not to the man. It is to the resonance. His emotional absence is a perfect tuning fork that strikes against the foundational frequency of her own hidden belief that she is, at her core, unworthy of love. His neglect is not a rejection of who she is, it is a confirmation of what she has always, secretly, feared herself to be. It is a hauntingly familiar song, a lullaby of lack sung to her in childhood, in past betrayals, in the quiet, accumulated wounds of a lifetime. He is merely the most recent singer. Her mind becomes a frantic detective agency, dedicated to a single, unsolvable case, earning a love that is designed to be unearnable. She will analyze the tone of a 2-word text for an hour. She will replay a 5-second interaction, searching for a micro-expression of warmth, a flicker of possibility. She becomes an expert in his subtle language, the grammar of his indifference. A period instead of an exclamation point is a condemnation. A canceled plan is a verdict. She is reading a book with blank pages, and she is convinced that if she just stares hard enough, the story will reveal itself. The intermittent reinforcement is the engine of the addiction. It is the same mechanism that keeps a gambler pulling the lever of a slot machine. The man who is mostly cold, but occasionally, randomly, warm. The one who disappears for a week, then shows up at her door with a fake smile and no explanation. This is the most potent psychological trap ever devised. The random reward. The hope that this time, the lever will pay out. This time, the silence will break. This time, he will see her. The brain's dopamine centers fire not on the reward itself, but on the anticipation of it. The maybe. The maybe is a drug more powerful than the yes. She is not chasing love. She is chasing the resolution of a cognitive dissonance so profound it rewires her neural pathways. The dissonance is this: I am a valuable, intelligent woman. This man, whom I have deemed valuable, treats me as worthless. To resolve the agonizing tension, her mind has 2 choices. 1. He is not valuable. This is rejected, for to admit this is to admit her own judgment is fatally flawed, that her initial attraction was a lie. Or 2, his treatment of me is the correct assessment. I am the one who is wrong. I am not as valuable as I thought. The second option, as devastating as it is, preserves the integrity of her initial choice. It is a psychological bailout. She chooses to dismantle her own self-esteem rather than question the object of her fixation. Her world shrinks to the size of his attention span. Friends become background noise. Hobbies become distractions from the main event, waiting. Her life becomes a waiting room, and he is the doctor who never calls her name. She cancels plans, just in case he calls. She leaves events early, just in case he texted. She is a satellite in a decaying orbit, and he is the cold, dark planet at the center of her universe. The more she orbits, the more of her own atmosphere she loses to his gravity. There is a strange, perverted safety in this chaos. The predictable pain of his neglect is easier to bear than the terrifying uncertainty of genuine, available love. A loving, consistent partner presents a terrifying prospect, being seen, truly seen, in all our imperfect, messy humanity. It requires vulnerability, the risk of a rejection that would be about her, not a game. The neglectful man is a shield. He is so preoccupied with his own ambiguity that he never gets close enough to pose a real threat. He can't reject her authentic self because he never bothers to look for it. She begins to mistake the intensity of her anxiety for the intensity of her love. The constant churn in her stomach, the sleepless nights, the obsessive thoughts, she labels this passion. She believes that if she feels this acutely, this painfully, it must be real. Calm, stable affection feels boring. It lacks the addictive, life or death stakes to which she has become accustomed. Her nervous system is addicted to the crisis. Peace feels like a withdrawal symptom. Then comes the grand, tragic inversion. Her efforts to win his love, her understanding, her patience, her forgiveness, become, in her mind, proof of the depth of her feeling. The more she tolerates, the more she sacrifices, the more she proves her love is real. She is building a monument to her own devotion, brick by brick, with the very stones he has thrown at her. She is the heroine of a tragedy she is writing, directing, and starring in. And he is a passive, often absent, prop. The man himself becomes irrelevant. He is a symbol, a placeholder, a screen upon which she projects the entire, unresolved drama of her past. He is the father who was emotionally distant, the mother who was critical, the first love who left without a word. He is every ghost, and she is trying to win a battle that was lost years, decades, before he ever appeared. She is not fighting for him. She is fighting to rewrite history. And she is losing the same war, all over again. There is a dark intimacy in this shared void. In the absence of his presence, she creates a relationship with a phantom. She knows the phantom intimately. She knows its moods, its subtleties, its hidden depths, all of which are fictions she has authored. A real, flesh and blood man, with his own flaws and needs and complexities, would be an intrusion. The phantom is perfect in its ambiguity. Her self-betrayal becomes the glue. Every time she ignores a boundary she set for herself, every time she makes an excuse for him to a friend, every time she swallows her pain and sends a cheerful "no problem" text, she is driving a wedge between her conscious mind and her inner truth. The cognitive dissonance grows. To survive it, she must bury her truth deeper. She must convince herself that the pain is love, that the neglect is freedom, that the void is home. She starts to see his withholding as a strength. His emotional unavailability is misinterpreted as depth. His lack of communication is seen as mysteriousness. His self-absorption is framed as independence. She attributes to him a complexity he does not possess, because the reality that he is simply incapable of the connection she craves is too banal and too devastating to accept. It is far more romantic to be trapped in an epic struggle with a dark prince than to be ignored by an emotionally stunted man. The final, terrifying stage is the erosion of memory. She can no longer recall what it felt like to be without this ache. The person she was before him, the one who laughed easily, who slept through the night, who felt whole on her own, becomes a faded photograph, a story about someone else. The anxiety, the obsession, the longing, this is her new baseline. This is who she is now. The addiction has completed its work. It has not just changed her behavior, it has rewritten her identity. And then, the unthinkable happens. He leaves. Or she finally, exhaustively, lets go. The withdrawal is a physical, agonizing thing. It is not the loss of the man she mourns. It is the loss of the purpose he gave her. The war is over. The mission has failed. The frantic detective agency has been shut down, its case files closed. The silence is no longer a canvas for her pain, it is just silence. And in that silence, she is forced to meet the person she became and the person she abandoned to become her. This is the true havoc. The man was never the trap. He was merely the bait. The trap was always within her. It was the hollow space, the forgotten chamber, the unhealed wound that recognized his nothingness as its counterpart. His absence was a key, and it fit a lock she didn't know she carried. So the next time you see a woman orbiting a black hole of a man, feeding on scraps of his attention, building a religion around his indifference, understand that you are not witnessing a simple story of low self-esteem. You are witnessing a complex psychological ritual. A desperate, tragic attempt to solve an internal equation using an external variable that was designed, from the beginning, to prove the solution was always zero. She is not addicted to the man who treats her like nothing. She is addicted to the man who makes her feel like nothing, because in that void, she finds the ghost of every other time she was made to feel that way. And exorcising that ghost is a terror far greater than any loneliness. It requires facing the horrifying truth that the prison was not built by him. She was simply the one who finally turned the key, walked inside, and called it home. The chaos was never his to give. It was always hers to surrender. Share your unravelings in the comments below, if you dare. But remember, some keys, once turned, can never be turned back.